Hi, I'm Catherine. I'm here with the staff at the School of Martial Arts, and this is our meditation talk for tonight. And we are talking about discerning illusion from truth. And I have the T'ai Chi here, which I'm going to refer to in a little bit, but first I'm going to put it down because I have some other things to say about that before I get to Lao Tzu. So, truth and discernment, truth and illusion. How do we tell the difference? There's a great story of 6 blind people encountering an elephant. They come into this room and they each run up against a different part of an elephant. One of them finds the tail. And the person says, I have a rope, there's a rope in the room. Another person finds the trunk. And that person says, no, I have a hose. I have a hose. There's a hose in the room. Another person comes up to one of the feet, one of the legs of the elephant. He says, I have a tree trunk. There's a tree trunk in the room. Another person comes up to the side of the elephant and he says, I have a wall. There's a wall in the room. And which person was right? They all felt their truth. Their truth was that there was a rope, there was a hose, there was a tree, there was a wall. Oh, and one of them felt the tusks. I forgot the tusks. And they said, I have a spear. So all of those things individually were true for each of those people. But yet, when we consider the whole, none of them had the truth, because the truth was that there was an elephant in the room. So this really points to our perspective and what it is we're expecting in life to happen. Like, I can expect that there will be 20 people in meditation class tonight, and it's not true, by the way. Well, there might be by the time we count all the people online. But in here, in the dojo, there's not 20 people in here right now. But I could expect that, and I could go, in my mind, I can say, I'm giving a talk to 20 people in the room today. And it wouldn't actually be true, because there's not 20 people here. But there's so often when we think that something is the truth and it's not. Perhaps we're thinking about our practice and we're going, I've got the greatest front kick in the world. And then Sifu comes up and he says, point those toes, keep that balance. Whatever it is that he says, right? And you're like, oh, it wasn't as good as I thought it was. My truth is sometimes different from reality. And recognizing that your truth is, I hesitate to say this, but maybe not just sometimes, maybe always different from reality. And sometimes our emotions tell us that we're off from reality. Sometimes we can get upset with somebody because we're expecting something and something else completely is happening. And we weren't expecting that, we were expecting something else. And then we get upset, but then what's actually happening is what's happening. That's the truth. And our illusion about what we wanted to have happen or our thoughts about what it was that we wanted to have happen was illusion. Like we wanted a certain thing to happen and it didn't. The place to go to for discernment, though, I think is a place of calm and a place of resourcefulness, where we can recognize that, oh, what I thought was going to happen isn't happening. No upset, just recognizing that something different is actually happening, and that our truth was different from the collective truth. So lots of things to think about, and I'm going to pick up the T'ai Chi. I've got lots of things in here. I don't know how many of these I'll get through, but the T'ai Chi is full of illusion of truth. Illusion, truth, truth, illusion. I don't really know. Like, it's very confusing to me, but it's also very fascinating to me. I just picked a few, I don't know what you call them. Like, they're not stanzas, but this is number 5 if you have it at home. Heaven and earth are impartial. They see the 10,000 things as they are. The wise are impartial. They see the people as they are. The space between heaven and earth is like a bellows. The shape changes, but not the form. The more it moves, the more it yields. More words count less. Hold fast to the centre. The first part, so if you haven't read the T'ai Chi, you don't know much about it, the 10,000 things represent all things in the universe. And for the 10,000 was seen as such a huge number that it was big enough to represent everything in the whole world and the universe. So when heaven and earth can see things as they are, then they're seeing the truth, I say. And the wise are impartial, and they're seeing the people as they are. And if you have somebody who's not wise, do they get to see the people as they are or not? I don't know the answer to that. The answer might be maybe. Sometimes. Come on in. Another one here. So the ancients were subtle, mysterious, profound, responsive. The depth of their knowledge is unfathomable, because it is unfathomable. All we can do is describe their appearance. Watchful, as though crossing a winter stream. Alert, like people aware of danger. Courteous, like visiting guests. Yielding, like ice about to melt. Simple, like uncarved blocks of wood. Hollow, like caves. Opaque, like muddy pools. It's interesting, isn't it, how we can use words to describe certain things, and it seems as though that's the truth. And it might well be the truth. But maybe it's just an illusion. Who knows? Another. When the great Tao is forgotten, kindness and morality arise. When wisdom and intelligence are born, the great pretense begins. When there is no peace within the family, filial piety and devotion arise. When the country is confused and in chaos, loyal ministers appear. This to me is a fascinating aspect of the Tao, where the Tao is how things are naturally, and there's no forcing, and we're able to just be with what is so in the universe, and we can be with the reality of what is. And when we forget that, this is saying that kindness and morality arise, and wisdom and intelligence are born, and then the pretense begins. So if we're not following the natural way of what is occurring in the universe and flowing with what is occurring in the universe, then we're pretending, and that's where illusion occurs. It's easy to say, hard to spot. Let's see, what is this one? I'm going to skip that one. Oh. Here we go. The wise student hears the Tao and practices it diligently. The average student hears of the Tao and thinks about it now and then. The foolish student hears of the Tao and laughs out loud. If there were no laughter, the Tao would not be what it is. Hence it is said, the bright path seems dim. Going forward seems like retreat. The easy way seems hard. The highest virtue seems empty. Great purity seems sullied. A wealth of virtue seems inadequate. The strength of virtue seems frail. Real virtue seems unreal. The perfect square has no corners. Great talent ripens late. The highest notes are hard to hear. The greatest form has no shape. The Tao is hidden and without name. The Tao alone nourishes and brings everything to fulfillment. And to me, when I consider this in terms of illusion of truth, it's like everything seems as if it is one thing, but perhaps it is another thing. And if we consider it from a different point of view, if we consider it from a larger perspective, is what we thought before, does what we thought before still hold true? Or do we need to adjust our thinking so that we can include the different perspective in our thinking? And what is true? Can you then think from a different perspective and include that as well? There's so much in the Tao Te Ching. If you haven't read it, I really recommend reading it. But take some time, because don't try and read it all in one go. When the country is ruled with a light hand, the people are simple. When the country is ruled harshly, the people are cunning. Happiness is rooted in misery. Misery lurks beneath happiness. Who knows what the future holds? There is no honesty. Honesty becomes dishonest. Goodness becomes delusion. People's delusion lasts for a long time. Therefore the wise are sharp, but not cutting. Pointed, but but not piercing, straightforward but not unrestrained, and brilliant but not blinding. So the Tao is talking about finding that middle path, finding that place of going with nature, being with the natural flow of things, being in the space of illusion and recognizing that it's illusion, that you don't have the truth yourself, that the truth is something bigger than you, and maybe you can't see it from your perspective because maybe you're holding on to one leg of an elephant. Here's the last one. Truthful words are not beautiful. Beautiful words are not truthful. Good people do not argue. Those who argue are not good. Those who know are not learned. The learned do not know. The wise never try to hold on to things. The more you do for others, the more you have. The more you give to others, the greater your abundance. The Tao of heaven is sharp, but does no harm. The Tao of the wise is to work without effort. So if we can find a place where we are able to flow with ourselves, flow with the people around us, flow with the circumstances around us, if we can work within that without fighting directly against them, if we can find a way to redirect the energy, find ourselves in our own centre, and allow ourselves to step forward in our own truth, recognizing that our truth is but illusion, that there is a greater whole which has a different truth, we can be at peace. And today, let's find that peace as we sit and meditate. We allow ourselves to come to our centre, recognizing our truth, and perhaps reflecting on a greater truth. So, with that, we'll sit. Oh, you were here last week, yes? Or the week? Yeah, nice, lovely. So we're going to sit still now. Sit with the spine straight, knees below your hips. And we'll meditate for about 15 minutes. I'm going to take my glasses off, otherwise they slide off. Spine straight, chin parallel to the floor, eyes slightly upturned. We'll do a few breaths together. Deep breath in, all the way down, expanding your rib cage. Hold. Exhale. Inhale. Hold. Exhale slightly longer than your inhale. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Last one. Inhale. Hold. Exhale and end with a double exhale. Allow the breath to come in. Allow the breath to go out. Switch to just noticing your breath as it comes in and as it leaves your body. Notice the reality of your breathing. Don't try to change it, just notice the reality.